Hey folks, welcome to Black Gumbo Southern Gardening. How about a tour at the end of November? Let's see what's growing in the garden. Well, I'm recording this on the day after Thanksgiving, and I'm doing my garden tour a little bit earlier. I like to do one at the 1st of December or the end of November, but it's the day after Thanksgiving. I hope you had a good Thanksgiving. We certainly did. But it's going to be raining for the next couple of days, so I have a break. I thought I'd take a look around the garden, and let's go walk the garden together. Let's start at the other side today. We've got our brassicas here, a couple of them growing in a container, and some stray seeds coming up. This looks like a weed, but yeah, these guys are bigger than I thought they would be in this pot, this big bin. I had sweet potatoes in here, but they're doing fine. I've got some collard greens coming up here in this pot and some sweet potatoes that these won't make the winter, but they were in there. The roots were down in there. I harvested, and they're just kind of volunteering back. So yeah, you know what, I found these toothache flowers, these toothache plants. These things are growing great during the fall. They're really putting on a lot of these flowers. These were planted last spring from seeds to be pollinator attractors. They do a good job. The bees really like them.
Ugh.
What are you chewing on? It's called a toothache plant. What is it doing?
It's tasting like lemon juice. I don't like it.
No, it's no good.
Over here we have in bed 3 a whole bunch of different kinds of radishes. All of this mass that you see to about right there, that's all radishes of different kinds. And then I've got some Brussels sprouts, and I think some of those are actually collards, but some of them are definitely Brussels sprouts. And a few of them didn't make it. There was one here that didn't make it because the radishes grew much quicker than I thought they would and shaded out my little brassicas in there. But the others are doing fine. These are almost ready to harvest. In fact, I pulled some up for Thanksgiving, and we had some radishes, different kinds, but they're really still too young to eat. They're not bulbing up just yet, but they sure are putting a lot of leafy greens on. Over here, this is the perpetual spinach. That's ready to start eating. And that's a Swiss chard variety. It's doing really well. This stuff will last well into the spring if I choose to leave it there. This gnarly old plant here, this pepper plant, is waiting on those peppers to ripen up. I like them red. And it's got enough leaf mass where they should ripen. There's one on the bottom that's starting to turn. Those are a sweet pepper. I don't remember the variety, some sort of Hungarian pepper. But they're very good. I like them. So I left that plant in there from my spring garden, and it'd probably make it through the winter if we have a mild winter. These are my carrots. These are Parisian, some of my carrots. And I've got volunteer tomato plants coming up all through the garden. I hope there'll be enough time to get some fruit off of them, but I'm not real hopeful. Wow, the sun's coming out. That's so nice. Over here I've got another couple of brassicas. I think these are collard greens or cabbages. I think these are cabbages. And then this is mustard. Kale, but the mustard plants came up voluntarily. I grew mustard here last spring, and I've got mustard growing there, and I've got some over there coming up in the pathways. So that's been a nice little bonus. Got some bonus carrots coming up in the holes here. It's nice to drop some seed around, and if you've got some extra in your hand, just drop them around. This kale's looking good. We had some kale used on one of our trays of food the other day as ornament. This kale is for my son's geese, though, since we don't really eat a lot of kale. I have this elderberry plant, this elderberry bush, and I've got it in a pot. It's waiting to be planted in the ground out the front side of my house. But for now, it's in here. But what would you do with this? I'm not real familiar with elderberries, but I've got this long shoot on this side and this long one on this side, and then all this bushy growth down in here. Would you prune this back to get a more of a bush shape? I don't know. I don't know what to do with this. I don't like the way it's growing. Oh, look at that. Got a pollinator right there, a little honeybee. Awesome. This pepper plant right here is an oldie too. It's been around. You can see the leaf miners do a real bad job of tearing up my pepper plants. And all my pepper plants look this way at the end of their life. But we'll see if that gives us any more fruit. Got some Spanish black radishes growing here. I love these things for the way they look. I don't really like the flavor of them, but if you like a real hot radish, that's probably the most spicy radish I've ever grown. More cabbages starting to really grow and starting to indicate heading down in there, which is really early compared to the ones I grew last year. It took forever to get these things to head up last year, but this is a hybrid variety. It's a Burpee's Best. It's a store-bought variety that seems to be doing well. It's growing fast, growing big. In between there's our lettuce, different kinds of lettuce. I've got lettuce along the edges here. I've got some more radishes here and some tomatoes that actually have some blossoms on them. So we'll hope that we get some tomatoes off there and see what kind we got. Got a bunch of beets growing here. Some of them are starting to bulb up, but they're a little densely packed in there. So you know, if you like beet greens, this is ideal right here. And then my wonderful carrot patch with all these beautiful carrots. Man, I love carrots and just the foliage and how it looks. So I'm looking forward to carrots in the spring. We love carrots. In a previous video I showed you how to just broadcast sow seeds. This is cilantro, and this is what happens when you just broadcast it. You get a nice dense big mat of stuff, and this is what you want with cilantro. You would take a big batch just like that and cut it off and use that in your cooking. This is excellent. Our soil experiment, if you followed our soil video where we sterilized potting mix to do a side-by-side comparison, there's a little bit of progress going on. Here's our sterile soil, and you can see chickweed has already found its way in, but for the most part that's the only weed growing in there. I don't see any others. But in our control, this is soil that has not been sterilized. There's tons of little weeds coming up, just as we might expect, all throughout, all different kinds. And then over here is our potting mix, and I don't see anything growing in that just yet. So performing about what we might expect. What I'm going to be interested in is the diversity of life that's in this one here. And check this out. This is my blood orange. It's got 3 fruits on it, little fruits. It's a little tree, and I shouldn't have let that tree fruit so soon, but it's hard to pass up citrus. Man, those are so good. I had one of those the other day, and it wasn't quite ripe, but it was the best orange I've ever eaten, so I'm looking forward to those. And I'm looking forward to potting my citrus up a little bit larger this coming spring. And this key lime here with these tiny little key limes on here, I'm looking forward to these producing heavily, just like my Meyer lemon tree over there. That's incredible, huh? My peas, these are Maestro, and they're more of a traditional English pea. I'm starting to put on a lot of peas, a lot of pods if you look for them, like that right there. Starting to plump up a little bit. But the real heavy producer are these snow peas. These have been delicious, and I've been eating these just as a snack in the garden, and they're fantastic. I've got a ton of them coming on these several plants right in here, and it's just a nice snack to have. If you like snow peas, yeah, it's been real enjoyable. I put these tomato cages down, and immediately the peas started climbing up them. So I've got some peas laying on the ground, some climbing up. I don't see any difference in production. And of course over here with these other peas, these guys, a lot of them are laying on the ground, but they're producing just fine. But you know, it's ideal if you have something for them to climb. But they're producing well. In this mess I've got spinach, several different kinds of spinach. I've got spinach growing here that we sowed from seed, and some hidden in there. But the radishes and turnips right here have really taken over, and I planted those because a lot of the spinach didn't come up, but some of it did, and it's hiding down in there. And we harvested some of that yesterday at Thanksgiving. And yeah, spinach. I like to have spinach around. You can see that the slugs and snails like spinach too. Just got to plant enough for everybody. Got some more cabbages over here growing in pots, and you can see this is a good illustration of how a root system bound up in a smaller pot is going to yield a smaller plant. And these particular plants probably won't head up. These are stuffed in here and they look like they're starting to want to form heads in there, but they'll be smaller. And they'll stay that way because the pot is small. Those roots can't go foraging like those roots over there. Those roots over there are probably down in the pathways and they're spreading out. They're able to mine for all the resources they need. Well, these guys, well, it's just kind of sad. But it's a shame to waste a good plant. You might as well throw it in a pot and see if you get anything out of it. This is another citrus tree. It's looking a little green, I mean, a little yellow. I've been trying to fertilize that guy and get him healthy. Looks good though, doesn't it? I like a fall winter garden. It's my favorite. In my side bed we have dill growing. We harvested dill yesterday. We made a dipping sauce with some of this dill. And looking healthy over here. Real perky today with the rain. An old veteran pepper plant's got lots of peppers on it, but you would never know it because it looks grizzly from all the bug damage and a little bit of nutrition deficiency. This is a plant that's coming out soon. It is competing with all of these Asian greens right in here and all of this bok choy. So the bok choy is ready to eat. Baby bok choy. They're densely planted, so you know it's best to start thinning this out and eating it as we need it. The figs. This is the problem with some of my figs. Some of my late fruiters like this Panache Tiger Stripe, LSU Tiger Stripe. These figs will not ripen. And they won't ripen because the tree's already going into dormancy and dropped all its leaves. And it needs the leaves to ripen the fruit. Well, the fruit's just going to sit there and dry up, or I'm going to have to pluck them off. And it's the same thing with all these figs out here. The ones that are now going dormant with fruit on them, none of that fruit's going to ripen up. So, yeah. I'm trying to identify the varieties in pots that ripen in time. And so far, I've got several. And you know what? I'm missing a fig. I had one that was almost ripe on that tree right there. Did you eat my fig? You look guilty. Phoebe likes to steal my figs. She's literally started to get up in the pots and reach high up, so yeah. So the figs, yeah, they're looking sad because it's the end of their year. But this is when you can get a good look at the growth from the year. All the leaves are gone. You can see the new growth. You can see how the tree responded to pruning. You can get an idea of what your structures look like when you've tried to direct the growth of a tree. And yeah, so this is a good time of year to start planning how you're going to trim these trees up. Sometimes a fig tree does what you want it to do, and sometimes it does its own thing. I've been trying to prune this fig tree and to make scaffolds come off and make a nice tree, like this one here. But this tree decided to throw up another shoot, and a third one here, and several at the bottom, and sometimes that's just what you get. Fig trees, sometimes they have their own mind. We do have some volunteer tomatoes growing in this fig pot. Not sure where that came from, probably compost top dressing. But yeah, lots of new growth that was not planned. And lots of new growth from being pruned last spring. You can see this is new, this is new. Yeah, that tree shape is shaping up pretty nice, but it's leaning. So we'll have to reorient that. Out on the patio, we have some of our potted peppers still producing. And we've got some herbs, this parsley here. Got beat down this morning by the rain. Over here we've got our French breakfast radishes, and I've been eating some of these. They're starting to put on some fruit down there. Got a little habanada pepper tucked away in here, producing these heatless habaneros. And well, you know, they taste like habaneros with no heat. And it's just a novelty, you know. Got our romaine lettuce that's bolting. So at this point in romaine lettuce, when it starts looking tall like this, and when you break it off and see white sap, it's too bitter to eat. You have to eat that stuff before it gets that big. I had a few others that have gone to compost because they were also bolting. It's just warm right now. That's going to end probably tonight, but yeah, those guys are bolting. leftovers and some of that bolting lettuce, some radish tops. This is the new compost bin, and it's about 10 inches deep now, so no shortage of compost materials to go in here. Over here we have our finishing compost. This is the compost I've been working on since the summer started. It's still warm a little bit, but this is going to sit here until the spring and finish off. What are you doing in there, huh? You're in my leaves. Get out of my leaves. Come on. Come. Come. Good girl. You've got to stick your head in the hole, huh? You might notice, if you've followed my channel, that there's something missing. Not Phoebe, but right here. This was my cursed fig tree, and I finally took it out. I finally made true on my threats to this tree over the years that if it didn't produce fruit, it was coming up. And so I took the tree out, took a bunch of the roots out, but in the spring we'll probably have to keep on top of mowing this down, because there's a lot of roots still down there, and you know, a fig tree, man, it'll come back 10 times. But I plan to use this area for something else later. The problem is this tree was in the shade of these trees here, and in that shade that fig tree grew like crazy, but it did not fruit. It didn't have enough sun to ripen up fruit or to produce fruit. So this is not a good place for a fig tree. I have also reclaimed my fire pit, which used to be here, and it was just filling up too much with ash, and yeah, I didn't like it. It was kind of in the way right here, so took it out, took the bricks away, and I sowed this area with crimson clover and buckwheat. And you can see this clover is a nitrogen fixer, and it's starting to come up here. And if I mow this down before it flowers, it will fix nitrogen, kind of restore some of this soil here. But yeah, it's growing. The buckwheat, I think, just didn't make it. Some of it came up, but I think it got trampled down. But that's a good way to reclaim bare soils. Put a cover crop on it, just let it grow. And that stuff has survived being trampled and run over by kids and dogs, and that's doing pretty well. So that's eventually the grass will take it over, but that crimson clover will also, if it gets real bushy, will make a nice biomass for my compost pile. You get to see among all this mess my grapevines. These are in their 4th year, and you can see how thick they are. The trunk is 1.25 inches thick, the main vine. And then I trained them up to the wire, and I split them, and they travel down the vine. But look at the mess. 1 year's growth. This mess is crazy. And they grow all amidst each other, and they've produced a lot of grapes for me this year. But you can see they all grow into one another, and they have to be tended once they're fully dormant and have dropped all their leaves. Look at these guys down here. You can see this tangled mess has to be dealt with. And I've got to clear it up, prune it back. You can see those short little stems right there have new growth on them, like that guy right there. Every one of these stems will be pruned back to about 3 to 4 inches long, and this vine will look pretty pathetic until the spring when it breaks open, and it will be a beautiful, glorious mess of leaves and grapes. I love these things. This was a really good, worthy project to undertake. Took two years to see any fruit, 3 years to get substantial fruit, and this 4th year has been a good harvest. Muscadine grapes. If you can grow them, you should try it. Well, there we have it. That's our little tour of a rainy, wet, soggy garden on the end of November. And it's really nice out there. I really like what I'm seeing in my garden this time of year. In Zone 9, you can grow year-round. And I encourage you to give it a try. We're going to get a cold snap. We're going to get some temperatures next week in the 30s. And a lot of folks are freaking out. But I guarantee you most of this garden is going to make it right through that. Unless we have a freeze and an extended freeze, meaning for our area, a couple of days straight, everything in here ought to make it through just fine, with the exception maybe some of the pepper plants. They're already struggling to survive. But yeah, gardening year-round in Zone 9, you can do it. And it's the best time in my opinion. Hey, thanks for joining us on Black Gumbo. We'll talk to you next time. Happy gardening to you. Bye-bye. Little guy decided to take a ride in the umbrella. What you doing up there? That is a female, green and all. I'll let her go somewhere safe.